What's good, Trulieve traders and investors? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth. Today is Saturday. Happy Saturday. It's July 2nd. Hope you had a great Canada Day for those in Canada and a great long weekend and Independence Day for those south of the border, and spend lots of time with your friends and family. In this short video, going to be discussing the stock Trulieve, ticker symbol TRUL on the CSE. Getting a lot of questions about this one as well. And I did a live stream video yesterday. Ended up being a little bit lengthy, so I wanted to come on. I did highlight Trulieve in that video and that live stream, but I wanted to come on and dedicate a video specifically for Trulieve. Before we get to it though, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. You can tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future updates and subscribe. We're going to be talking today about some technical analysis, what the charts are saying. There's a weekly bear flag pattern that has already confirmed. We have weekly bear flags across the sector, but Trulieve a bit standing out a little bit weaker as it already confirmed that pattern. And we'll talk about some price levels to be watching and what I'm expecting in the days and weeks ahead. Just before we get started here with the Trulieve chart, I did a video about 5 days ago on Oxley, weekly bear flag as well. And I just did a video on high tide and another weekly bear flag. So again, I did a video, a live stream about an hour and a half. It is a little long, and I know people tend not to watch it if it gets a little bit longer, but lots of value in that, even if you want to watch it at 2x speed or 1.5x speed. I know I talk fast, so 2x might not be the best, but again, just lots of value in that. I interact with the public as well. We do a Q&A at the end. When we see weekly bear flags across the sector, not just in Trulieve, but in Canadian and American MJ stocks, when it's occurring on a multitude of different MJ stocks, that gives us more confluence. Confluence just means that if we're expecting a certain outcome, the more signals or the more warning signs or the more patterns that suggest that particular outcome, the more likelihood that it would have of playing out, right? So in terms of the weekly time frame here on Trulieve, TRUL on the CSE, you can see here that we were consolidating on the weekly. All it means when we're consolidating is we're losing the low of the previous weekly candle. Weekly candle just means it's the price action for that given time period. So you can see we're pulling back, and then we bounced. What does a bounce mean? Consolidation means we lose the low of the previous weekly candle. A bounce just means we break the high of the previous weekly candle. So we had a bit of a hammer here. We reversed, but we knew on this bounce, this lower high, that's all a weekly bear flag is we have a pole and then a type of flag, and then we take the measured move of that pole, so from the high to the low, and that's what this dotted line is here, and we extrapolate that out, and then we use the fib tool from the high to the low. Anything below the 0.32 Fibonacci level at 21.01 was a potential for a weekly bear flag, and we didn't get above that. It was a weak bounce. That just shows bull exhaustion. Bears are still in full control. So we knew that on any bounce, anything below $21 essentially was a potential weekly bear flag. And we didn't even get there. We barely even got above the 0.236 fib level, which is even more weak, right? And then as soon as we lost support there at the low, so we go from the high to the low on a lower high, we need to break that original low. So 1635 was the low there. And once we lost 1635, that's when we confirmed the weekly bear flag. Now, again, if we take the measured move from the high to the low, and I'm using log scale as well. I've been finding that a lot more reliable, so I already drew it out there. But you can see here we're targeting about $13 here on Trulieve, which means from current levels, we could still expect about another 11 to 12% of downside. After that, we don't really have any support until looks like 1345 on the price action, and then another level here at 1224. After that, we don't really have anything until the March 2020 C19 lows at $8, right? So this could easily pull back quite a bit, in my opinion, because of the fact that the whole MJ sector is in a bear market, and we're not seeing fundamentals matter, right? Trulieve, high tide, I just did a video on that. We know that they have very, very strong fundamentals, very strong financials, but nothing like that matters when you're in a bear market, especially in a nascent industry like that of MJ. But everything in the MJ space, both American and Canadian, are basically down. And it's not just producers, not just MSOs, multi-state operators, it's retailers, it's ETFs as well. On average, we're down about 80 to 90%. So right now, from the highs of February 2021 on Trulieve, we're still not even down 80%. So that's why I think that we could join the rest of the pack. If we drop 80%, that would bring us to that $12, which is that level of support that I just mentioned. And if we drop, say, 85%, which is very common right now across the space as well, that'd be about a $10 Trulieve, which I could easily see happen. And if we lose 90%, actually we would be down at 87% if we drop to that $8 support, which was the which was the low there before we went on that monstrous run in March 2020 C19 bottom, right? That black swan event. We did see a monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross already occur. So just questioning how much more downside we're really going to see from here. Before we see a meaningful bounce, we really haven't formed a monthly lower high since $43 on Trulieve. So I do think that we're going to be due for a massive bounce soon, but it's entirely possible that we're heading down to that 80 to 85% drawdown from the February 2021 highs. We could still see monthly oversold conditions as well, so just keep that in mind. But again, weekly bear flags across the sector, and right now we're expecting $13. What I would expect and anticipate is likely a pullback to around $13 and then a massive bounce on the weekly, because really on the weekly time frame we don't have any resistance either until 1975, so 20 psychological, and then on the price action after that 27.95, right? So round that up to about $28. But I do think we're likely going to see a pullback to that $13 area before we see a massive bounce, and that's just because of the fact that we've got weekly bear flags across the sector, right? High tide weekly bear flag close to confirming, needs to lose 173, target would be $1. That's about a 50% drawdown. Doesn't mean we're going to get there. That's just what technical analysis says, right? It's not the end all be all. It just means that the probability is saying that we could get there. Not 100% guarantee. Their only guarantee is there's no guarantees, right? But Tilray, same deal. Weekly bear flag targeting about 225. So if we see all these bear flags, even CGC confirming its weekly bear flag, so a little bit weaker. So again, Trulieve and CGC already confirming the weekly bear flag, where Tilray not close yet, but high tide still got, from current levels, we still got about 14%. So high tide's holding up a little bit better than Tilray. CGC already confirming its weekly bear flag in Trulieve, so about the same amount of weakness here between Trulieve and CGC. And you get the fundamental maximalists, and they just don't understand why Trulieve is down. And there's only one reason, and that's because we're in a bear market, right? When everything's in a bear market, it doesn't matter how good your numbers are, how good your fundamentals are. It's just the lay of the land, right? This is just par for the course right now. But again, I would expect a pretty big bounce at some point soon. We know that the S&P 500 still hasn't confirmed a daily uptrend. It's in a weekly and monthly downtrend, the first monthly downtrend since 2008 financial crisis. We're still bearish on the stochastic and the MACD on Trulieve, well below the 10-week moving average there at 1797. But we're extremely bearish here on the stochastic. The MACD did try to cross bullish, but we're back into bearish territory here with the black line below that red line, which is indicative of a bearish sentiment in the long term on those weekly macros. On the weekly time frame, we also have a 50 weekly crossing down through the 100, which is perceived as bearish. And again, just questioning how much more downside we're really going to see from here, because the monthly EMA 12 and 26 bear cross already occurred on these moving averages. We had the death cross back here in July of 2021 when most MJ had it as well. And if you just exited on that warning sign alone, that would have been around $44 when that occurred. In the low 40s when that death cross occurred. That would have saved you a ton of downside, right? You could have exited just on that, even if you were just reloading cheaper, right? And that's what a death cross is when the 50 crosses down through the 200, and then a golden cross happened back here when the 50 crossed below up through the 200, and then when it happens inversely, that's perceived as bearish. Golden cross, death cross. All implied in the name, right? So just expect more downside. Again, we're seeing a lot of confluence, a lot of similar patterns in north and south of the border in MJ land. So again, I would expect a little bit more downside, especially since we're now in a full-blown recession, 2 quarters of back-to-back negative growth in terms of GDP. And the narrative in the media is probably going to really start to paint that narrative, right? That we're in a recession, we're likely going to see fear, uncertainty, and doubt pick up, and likely going to create more headwinds in the sector. But let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. If you agree with me, disagree with me, are you looking to buy? Personally, I'm going to be looking to start scaling in very, very slowly into Trulieve around that $13 area. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth. Hope you have a great rest of your weekend. If you could, smash the like one more time on your way out, and tick the bell. You'll be notified on any future updates. Thanks again for joining us on The Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll see you again on the next video.